We're Ashley and Ivan. For the last 10 years, we've worked as a husband and wife team in nonprofit and business.
We know both the joy and the tension that comes from working with your spouse. That's why we're so passionate about helping other Christian couples who lead and work together to turn tension into teamwork, communicate clearly, and lead as one.
Let's go on this journey together. Welcome to Live Theo Podcast. This is episode 4, and I'm Ashley.
My name's Ivan. In our last episode, we looked at a overlooked power couple in the Bible. If you hadn't had a chance to go check it out, we highly recommend that one. Today, we're going to look at one of the most foundational skills you need in working and leading with your spouse. It is so important that if you don't have this, well, good luck just trying to work together. It's going to help you avoid fights before they even start and really help deepen your connection and ultimately help with getting more stuff done because you won't be wasting time on fights and having moments of reconciling in the midst of working with each other. And that skill is listening.
And yes, listening. You're like, really? Sounds so basic and boring. But let me tell you, if you think that listening is easy, you're probably not a good listener then. Because often when we chat with people, or especially couples, they will say, hey, what is one thing that you need to work on? What is one thing that's causing a lot of tension in your marriage? They would say communication. And we would have to say that listening is the very fundamental building block to the communication. And when we started to get to know each other, I would say I would listen to Ivan mostly so then I can prove my points or somehow I can fix him. And that was my mistake. And we would get in a lot of fights. And often I would trigger or push his buttons. And so he would get really defensive. And I would also then become even more defensive. And why are you getting so defensive? And so we weren't building connection.
The truth is nobody's good at listening. Nobody's born a good listener. It's not some innate trait we are born with, but it's also true that we can grow in the skill of listening, and that as we practice it, as we engage, and as we prioritize it, we can get better. As professional coaches, we've spent months of just honing this skill. Every session is another opportunity to practice it. We have had mentor coaching where they give us feedback on our skills as a coach, and this is one of the fundamental areas that we focus on. And so we see how we've grown over years of developing this skill.
Just kidding. I am listening.
You got me on that one. And that it can be something you can grow in. And it becomes an incredible gift to your relationship and to any relationship truly, but especially working with your spouse. And so today we're going to cover 3 areas of looking at what is listening, what truly is it, what are some of the 3 main things that make listening so hard, and how listening moves us from tension to connection.
Yeah, so that takes us to what listening really is. There's many definitions out there, but this is our version. And we say that listening is entering into somebody else's world. That we're not just hearing for the sake of hearing with our ears, but we are being present, we are loving on them, and we are giving attention with our whole self by listening. The goal isn't to prove your point. The goal is to build connection. And so again, more than a physical act, it is listening with all of who we are. We are listening with our senses, our mind, our filters, our assumptions, and our emotions. So it takes all of us to actually be present and to tune out any distractions that we might have. So listening could be very exhausting. Sometimes I really have to fight in my own mind to listen and really enter into that person's life. Because sometimes they will tell me things that I really just don't care. Or people will tell me things that I disagree with. And in that place, how do I build connection and how do I enter into their lives and their disposition without judging them or even wanting to fix them?
Yeah. I think it comes down to listening to understand. That at the heart of the matter is we listen to hear from their thought process, entering into their world, how they see it, how they feel it, what's going on for them to make that decision or come to, that conclusion on something. We also wanted to share a quote with you from Henry Nouwen. It's from his book, Bread for the Journey. We feel like this really kind of sums up the heart of this episode and helps give a broader definition to what listening truly is. He says, "To listen is very hard because it asks of us so much interior stability, that we no longer need to prove ourselves by speeches, arguments, statements, or declarations. True listeners no longer have an inner need to make their presence known. They are free to receive, to welcome, to accept. Listening is much more than allowing another to talk while waiting for your chance to respond. Listening is paying full attention to others and welcoming them into your very being. It's just a beautiful picture of listening being so much more than hearing words from someone and waiting for your chance to respond. It is so much deeper, so much broader. That's why, like he says, it's not easy. It requires all of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can think of multiple people that loved you by listening to you. And that they're not rushing you, they're not judging you, they're not debating you, they're not correcting you, but simply just listening to your story. And that you feel so loved by them because they are spending time with you, committing their attention to you. And that listening can actually bring such gift to a person. Imagine what would do that for your marriage and your relationship when you listen to your spouse with intentionality and your willingness to just hear them out.
So let's talk about 3 reasons why listening is so hard. There are many reasons, but we wanted to give kind of the big 3.
The first one is a distracted mind. I don't have to tell you how distracted we all are in this world. What causes distraction? One is external noise, right? And so phone's ringing all the time, TV is on, someone's screaming for a touchdown, kids are screaming, maybe the laundry's running, and there's just so much going on that it's always pulling you in all directions. And also internal distractions. You have things that you need to think about, things that you need to accomplish. When Ivan is telling me something and I need to do something else, I'm kind of listening, but I'm like, somewhere else. And so I'm half present, but half gone. So distraction can really impact you from really listening.
We've had our fair share of moments where we've had to apologize and repent to each other because we haven't done this well. There are times where it's a special moment for either of us. Maybe we're sharing something that is close to our heart or we're excited about or it feels special, and the other person just isn't there. They are more focused on the phone or getting back to someone on something. And it hurts when you want to share something that is personal and close. And the person that you share that closeness with, you expect them to be that for you. And when it's not, it's hard to I know this is meaningful for me and I want to share it with you, but it's not reciprocated. It makes it hurtful. And so we're by no means perfect. We're still growing in this for sure.
Oh yeah, I've been telling Ivan to turn the phone upside down while we're having a meal together.
Throw that thing away. So we know it's real. It's the life we live in right now. But we know that, through intentionality, we can set aside those distractions, both externally and internally, to be fully present with our spouse and truly listen to them. And number 2 of what makes listening so hard is that we often listen through a filter.
Yeah, we all have our filters. We have our lenses. Perhaps I have the green one, you have the red one, I don't know. But we all have a different background and we have different trigger points. So let's say Ivan is telling me something that I agree with. I want to give more attention or weight to that. But he gives me something that or says something that I don't agree with. I'm going to be like, what you say is wrong. Or I'm already judging with my own assumptions and thoughts. And so again, listening takes all of you. When he's saying something that affects me emotionally, either I want to over-engage with that or become completely indifferent because it's just too much to handle right now. And so
I know it's always so interesting when you share something and then your spouse responds in a way that you don't expect because they've been triggered. You're like, where did that come from? And just to air out my dirty laundry, here you go. There was a time in our relationship where when I would do things like presentation speeches, whatever it might be, something with public speaking, which I enjoy and I think I'm pretty good at, that when Ash would give me feedback, I would filter it through insecurity. So that was my issue. In her mind, she's thinking, Ivan's 95%, right? This is A+ already. Man, if he just tweaked this one thing, it would be 10 out of 10. It would be amazing.
And that's what wives do, right?
Yeah, I'm already hypercritical of myself and have performance issues and different things like that if I've done well enough. So I'm already thinking of all the things that I messed up on and how I could improve it. And when she would just share that. I would filter it through that lens of insecurity and more often than not get defensive and then have some type of response to her that would cause her to be defensive. And sure enough, we're in a full-blown disagreement and fight and there's tension. And it's like, wait, what? How did we even get here? Right. And so for sure, there's things I needed to work on in that with me and God and just being more confident and secure in who I was, which glad to say I've been working on it. It's been going great. In case you're curious, it's well worth it. But on a practical note, what I mentioned to her was like, hey, love, like, I'm already hypercritical of myself. Can you lead with like maybe like three to five things that I did really well just so I can hear it? Because I need that first. And then bring like the constructive feedback after. And that slight switch really helped us in that. I mean, one, I had to work on my stuff, but then two, as she did that, it definitely helped. So I think it's helpful to recognize your lenses and assumptions. And one question that has helped us is, well, actually, it's not a question, it's a statement. And it's simply repeating back to them, hey, what I hear you saying is this. And so that helps move out of our filters of assumption into clarifying the person, what they're sharing, and the intent of why they're sharing it.
So example would be that because I'm hearing it through my own filter, I don't know 100% for sure if I'm hearing it correctly. So then once I hear what he has to say, if I need clarification, I would simply ask him, babe, what I'm hearing you say is blah, 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 blah. So he can clarify. Either I'm 90% right and I was like, oh, actually that's right, but I think what I meant to say was this, or like, actually, no, that's not what I meant to say. So rather than jumping into my own assumptions, we're clarifying that with one another. And it sounds so basic and it almost sounds a little bit like elementary, like what I hear you say is, but that helped us to get on the same page quicker and that we would avoid unnecessary fights because what I'm telling him is, hey, I'm trying to understand you. I'm really trying to enter into your place without me judging you.
Yeah, that was a big help. And it feels kind of like when you're saying back to them exactly what they've said to you, it feels kind of dumb, to be honest. You're kind of like, really? This is it? But truly trying to understand where they're coming from, that phrase is so helpful to do that. All right, number 3 of why it's so hard to listen is often we are preparing for a comeback. So this one gets all of us, even as we've tried to hone this skill of listening through our profession and really try to listen as best as we can by being present and not distracted. Man, when someone shares something, it's so easy to get into that mode of giving feedback, giving advice. Man, if you're in a disagreement with your spouse on where you want to go with the project or what next steps you want to take, proving your point is better and why you need to like get into lawyer debate mode and like bring out all the reasons why your way's right and why your spouse should hop on board with you. We started off a lot with this early on in our relationship. And the truth is, it's just when you do this, you try to prove your point, and you try to give advice or fix someone, unless they explicitly ask for it, usually it's not a win. It just feels like
it's not welcomed.
Yeah, it's not welcomed. It brings actually more disconnection than connection.
And I think also that comeback could also be in a different way where you are making the story about you. Like they're telling the story and then you are trying to like filter through your own lens and then, oh yeah, I remember a time when this happened to me. I was like, you're not listening because I'm sharing it right now, but you made it about you. And so that would be another form of comeback, not in a lawyer way, but also making it about you.
Yeah.
But also I think it impacts us in a work setting too, right?
Definitely. Yeah. This one, like, for example, if you guys are at like a fork in the road where one of you feels strongly about going this direction and the other feels strongly about going the other direction, it's necessary to hash out different ideas when you work with your spouse. Obviously, you want to do that in a humble way and a loving way, but sometimes it can get a little intense and that's not necessarily bad. You need to really work through, okay, which way is actually better here and assess the idea. But the danger is that when you're in that space of assessing and discerning where you're at and where best way to go, the danger is that you can get into that side of proving your point is better and like strong arming your spouse into them agreeing with you. And you might win the argument, but man, it's not a win overall because your spouse is most likely going to shut down or blow up. And then you have to work through all of the relational stuff with that. So when you're at that place of you're deciding together of how to move forward in a work setting, asking this question of, can you help me understand why this is so important to you? Help me understand how you see this going 2 or 3 steps down the road. What makes it for you so important that we do this and not what I'm suggesting? And as you share both sides, not only does it build connection, but also it brings to the surface actually the best of both. And perhaps maybe it's not one or the other. Maybe it's a combination of both. And you come to that place of, wow, actually, this is the best idea to go with. But if you're sitting there trying to defend your point and prove why yours is better, you're never going to get to that place.
That takes us to how listening moves you from tension to connection. Again, fundamental skill of communication is listening, and listening builds connection because you are telling the person that I'm here for you, I'm present with you, I love you with my time and my intentionality. So that means we need to be fully present, not be distracted with different things. If that means that you are putting a phone away and flipping it down, or maybe silencing your phone and not checking your phone while you are having a conversation, or simple things like that would really turn tension into connection. And also clarify and not assume, not trying to win the argument and not looking for a comeback, not making it about you, but making it about them. And that listening is a selfless act of you being there for the person, that you entering into that person's world and say, hey, I'm here because I love you.
Listening helps us avoid fights before they start. If things are feeling tense and we truly start to listen to understand, it helps melt the tension in that room and focus on connection, which is the basis of your relationship as you work together. If you don't have connection with your spouse, how are you supposed to lead as one? How are you supposed to communicate effectively? How are you supposed to fulfill what God has for you together when there's no agreement there? And so, again, this feels so basic, but it's fundamental that when you truly start to listen, be present, avoid assumptions, and listen to understand, that you'll see it affects all areas of your leadership with one another.
Once you have that connection by listening to one another, I think it does create safety and security where you don't have to worry about what you're going to say and feeling like they're going to judge you immediately. That it creates a safe space for you to be honest and open. I'm not withholding information because I'm afraid of what he will say. We can even have a raw conversation and say, hey, I haven't arrived at a solution, but this is kind of what I'm thinking about. Let's discern together. And so I think that opens up creativity, freedom.
Yeah.
It builds even desirable outcome that maybe you didn't even anticipate. And so I think it creates way more than just connection as a couple. It bleeds into work relationship,
For sure.
work conversations, and also decision-making process where we can feel free to roam and we feel free to discuss openly.
Yeah. So our hope is that as you've listened to this, that you commit to being a true listener with your spouse and with others. Are we going to have moments where we get distracted and miss it? Of course. And we just need to own those moments. Hey, I'm so sorry. I just missed what you said. I was distracted by this thing. Can you please repeat what you shared? It is important to me. And we aspire to continue to grow in this skill of listening. So as we come to the end of this episode, commit to listen to your spouse. Whether it's a date night that you guys are connecting on, whether it's a work meeting and you're working out what needs to be prioritized and you need to move forward together, commit to being fully present, question assumptions, clarify those assumptions, and seek understanding with your spouse.
If you like our episode, please subscribe and comment and like us, and so we can continue the journey together with you.
See you in the next episode.